And President Trump also doing an about-face on wearing a mask. He's tweeted out this picture of himself with a message to Americans saying, when you can't socially distance, you need to wear a face mask. And he says there's nobody more patriotic than him. Joining me now is Natalie Jennings. She's the editor of The Fix at The Washington Post. Natalie, good morning. So what do you think it was that convinced President Trump to start these briefings again?
Good morning, Marcia. I think this is a culmination of several weeks at least long discussion among President Trump's team about how to right the ship in terms of, he is facing a very big uphill battle in terms of how people think he is handling the coronavirus. He has sort of made himself not the central figure leading this. He's dispatched a lot of the response to the heads of individual states, and that is having a big effect on how the response is going in terms of people getting sick, and also on how people view his handling of it, which also affects how he is going to fare in the upcoming election.
But it's also politically perilous, is it not? I mean, we all remember President Trump making that suggestion that one day about using disinfectant or light to somehow kill the virus inside of the body. I mean, he just can't live that one down.
Right. That is the most famous example of sort of the problems that sprouted from the previous version of these briefings. They were littered with, a lot of contention with reporters, a lot of instances of him being at odds with his own experts. There were lots of problems. But I think his approval ratings were better then. That could be for a number of reasons. That wasn't necessarily because he was taking advantage of this pulpit that he has. They're at a point, I think, the campaign and the Trump White House where they need to do something. So it's probably worth the risk to potentially get a little bit of upside to get back in control of the messaging about the coronavirus. And of course, this is talking about the messaging. We're not seeing Trump really make an effort to be the actual driver of the response. These are going to be words. We'll see if they're followed with action. And that is something that I think could have a little bit more impact on how he's viewed.
Right. And now, as we pointed out, he's going to talk about wearing masks, perhaps in a more positive way. He put that shot out of him at Walter Reed, I believe, wearing a mask, which is really the first picture we've seen of President Trump wearing a mask. Do you think these decisions have anything to do with his new campaign manager?
I think there's a lot of things that have changed around the campaign, but it's President Trump. The campaign manager, we've seen time and time again, in other campaigns, the staff is sort of more central. This is a President Trump-run operation, so it kind of doesn't matter. I think President Trump, someone has prevailed upon him to realize that, when you've exhausted all other options, do this thing that is very helpful, and so he's giving that a shot.
Natalie Jennings, she's the editor of The Fix at The Washington Post. Natalie, good to see you. And a programming note to share with you. CTV News Channel is going to have an exclusive interview with Donald Trump's niece, Mary Trump, on her new book, Too Much and Never Enough. It looks at the family dynamics and values that shaped the man who became the president. That's today at 5 Eastern.